So plaster is softer than wood, so it cuts more easily. But unlike clay, if you take it off, it's not coming back. It's very powdery. It's kind of like chalk. It's what they make drywall for our walls out of. It chemically sets. You pour it into a mold and it sets in about 20 minutes. If you get a piece that's still a little wet, this all goes a little faster, but it's also harder to control. Most of what I have right now is dry, but if we make a new one, it will be wet. Once you decide what your design is, you want to take one of your carving tools and just do a general outside shape. And since I forever am doing my cat, I'll just do a general, you can do it with pencil first, and I'm going to do a general outline of this is not a good, I'm just wanting to make sure you can see what I'm talking about. So I would do it pencil and then kind of put it in there a little deep so you don't lose it. I'm not going to get rid of that part. So I've just put a general outline on there. Wearing your mask is a good idea because it will keep you from breathing this in. Do not breathe in the dust. So for large areas, I did a separate video, but I'll show you again. You have a large rasp. These are spikes. It's like a file, but spikes. And just like if you've done this with wood, you push, you don't pull. There's a round side and a flat side. So if you're doing a convex shape, you use the flat side. If you're doing a concave shape that digs in, you use the round side. So if I'm just wanting to get rid of a large area, I'm just going to push, and I can, if I want it round and not just straight, then I can maneuver my wrist so it's round. So say I wanted to round out this corner. Notice I'm bringing the actual rasp around. Not sure how well you can see, so I'm going to actually move my white and have a dark background. I think that will work better, although it's a much bigger mess. You're going to want to put plastic or something underneath. You don't want this dust all over your house. Not a plan. Okay, so let me do that again where you have a dark background. So if I'm wanting it round, I'm getting rid of corners. And you can take off a lot at a time with these large rasps. So you want to do that until you get it to the general shape that you want it to be all the way around. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how to do some detail because you don't want to watch me do that whole thing. Your rasp will get full, and I'll give you a wire brush, and you can get rid of where it's full, and then it works again. So I'm giving you a couple of different tools. If I were just going to be, say, doing the eye here, which, assuming this is already all round, now I'm going into details, I could just come in and actually carve away, just scrape it. I think you can see what I'm doing. You might want to use another hand to control. So I'm taking down a layer so that the eyelid sticks out. I'm taking down the cheek underneath it, and you just simply scrape it away. Just know that what you take away, you cannot put back. So that's a very real thing to know. And you can fade that out. I say, I didn't really plan my design very well before I started doing the demonstration, so I'm just kind of playing with it as I go. You may want to take an area of your block and just practice on it. So you have this one, and then I think I gave everyone a little bit smaller one also to have at home. They're different shapes, so if you needed to dig in more detail, you just are simply scratching it away. But remember, you're taking off the parts you don't want, and you leave the parts that you do want. If I want that eyelid to be rounded, I can go in and take off those corners. If it's too small of a tool in an area, you can go back over with your wider tool to smooth it out. And when you're all through carving, you're actually going to take sandpaper and sand it and make it all beautiful and smooth. So those are your 3 basic tools. Large areas, I would do most of it with this. If you want to make an area, like this part's going to cut in where that ear is. So let me show you how the concave. So now I'm using the round part. And you see it makes an inward curve. Whereas the flat part would then take more of that off. Make sure that when you clean this up, you very slowly move all this powder. Don't poof it into the air. Get a dustpan and do it slowly, or you can just do it with your hand into your hand, throw it away, and then use a sponge wet and clean up the rest. If you ever do have out clay, make sure that your plaster does not get into your clay, because that will ruin it. And it's really just practice. So choose an area, like I said, choose an area and just practice with your tools. See what they'll do. See what will dig. See if you're making a small area. You can actually make holes that come all the way through. But know that it's very brittle and it can break. So I'm actually just digging a hole out there. Small areas obviously will take longer than large areas with a large tool. If you get some plastic where I made the mold, know that that is a divider and it may affect what you're doing. I'm trying to choose ones, that's why I chose this one as a demo, that don't have that. And if we need to, we can always pour new plaster. I can go buy it and we can pour new molds. I still have 2 or 3 left for people to use. So that's how you do plaster.